Hi, this is David Peacock, and I'm making my video for the 1,000 subscriber Q&A. So welcome to the video, and I would thank you for subscribing to my channel. And I'm going to answer some of the questions that were submitted, and here we go. The first one is by Eleonora Mella 2932. Congratulations, and I say thank you. I am very happy to get here. As I started the channel around 2015, as the years have gone on, I've realized how important this channel is to me. So I made it to goal to get to 1,000. It was a very important goal for me, and I'm happy to get here. The second comment's from Tun T. Congrats! Thank you very much. The next one is by Learn ML 7034. Two questions. What were the ideas that stuck with you after reading Durant's Story of Civilization? Okay. Number one, I wanted to add something to my Story of Civilization video. That was when I read it before the video. That was the second time I had read it. I read the whole series in the late 1980s. So I, knew what to expect, and that was great. That's why I really felt I enjoyed that. Helped me enjoy it before I made that video. The ideas that stuck with me, I liked the comprehensive view of civilization from one person's perspective with a rigorous discipline on how to look at things, which is what Will Durant presents to the reader. Because you can read like a book about Roman history and a book about Renaissance history and a book about medieval history and a book about Renaissance history, but they're all from different voices and different approaches, and then you kind of have to put them together in your head. And I think, and for my type of thinking, I like from one perspective all this history. It helps make it permanent in my mind and a solid foundation for studying and enjoying history. The other thing that I liked about Durant was his emphasis on personalities. Yes, there are events in civilizations, but it's about personalities, and people change things. People, whether it's a monarch or a musician or an artist or an inventor or a philosopher or a poet, or he brings in all these different people, and then he has little biographies of all of them all along the way. And so I like that because it makes it more human. And I also like the way that he approaches the personalities of history. It's not just admiration of all these great names that we know. He tells you why they're great, but he also criticizes them. And so that approach to examining a person's life is valuable to me. And even for regular people I know, you can divide up their personality into the positives and the negatives, and it helped me approach my regular life as well as my literary life. Then the other question, the second one, what is your process for taking notes when reading? I do take notes because I consider my books pretty tough books. I like to challenge myself. If I start a book, I really want to finish it. I usually take time before I commit to a book. But once I commit, I want to finish it, and I dislike quitting a book. And I get down on myself if I buy a book or get a book and then I start and quit. So when I read these books, I take notes. And one of the things I notice is like it helps to slow me down, and I usually just summarizing things. And for example, so here's kind of, I just use like a yellow notepad, and here's like On Photography by Susan Sontag that I had. And so I kind of summarize what she's doing. And when I read novels, I often have a really difficult time remembering the names and the personalities. So it's very important when I read a novel to write down the names as they come up in the book. And then I'll refer to the notes when they reappear, and so I can keep their personality consistent in my mind. So notes are pretty important to me. Um, let's see, what else do I have about notes? Here's an example of all the names on the Voyage of the Argo. I had all these names I was writing down. That was a frustrating book because a lot of names, they just introduce the names and then they don't reappear in the book. The Fourth Turning, that was a very difficult book to read, and I took a lot of notes on that one. So thanks for asking that question. The next one is from Deborah Scotland, 8819. Congratulations. Thank you. And were literature and art part of your professional life? No, they were not part of my professional life. I realized how much I enjoyed art and literature pretty much my second year in college. So it was a little late in life. And because I was so late, I thought of kind of pursuing that as a professional, but I decided not to. I thought of the graduate schools, but at that point in my college career, I really hated classrooms. I was just sick of classrooms, and the thought of being a teacher or something was repelled me. So anyway, but I did try after I graduated. I did try to kind of enter the art and literature world because I would submit things to magazines, most written and visual things I submitted to magazines, but that did not work. I don't have the freelance mentality of constantly sending stuff out. That's just not my personality, and that was a tough lesson to learn. After years of that, I went back to school, to a city college, and learned computers. So I took a Unix course, and then I got a professional job as a Unix systems administrator. If you don't know, Unix is an operating system, and so now Unix has transitioned into Linux, and Linux is a very popular business operating system. As an example, at Google, like 85% of their back-end servers are all Linux. At least 85% of the Amazon servers are all on Linux. So I kind of knew Linux, and then I learned some Microsoft, so I had a tech career. But because I'm kind of an artistic mind, I had a tech career, but I never really fit in with all these tech guys because they just have engineering minds, and I never really was completely comfortable in that environment, and I don't think that they really understood my artistic mind and my literary mind. So it was kind of a frustrating period to be a professional, but I always kept up on literature and art, kept going to exhibitions and reading books and collecting books, and so now I'm pretty much retired from that computer world. When I decided to start doing YouTube videos, my technical expertise really helped me to learn about cameras, to learn about cinematography, to learn about audio, to learn about file types, to learn about editing, to learn about storage, and all these technical parts of my channel came fairly easy to me. I'm very competent at solving these kind of problems that occur when you have a YouTube channel, because it's pretty complicated to have this channel. You have to have a lot of things going on. When I undertook the computer career, I never thought it was preparing me for my YouTube channel, but it turned out to be a very nice and wonderful preparation to have a YouTube channel. The next question is, am And how many cities have you been able to visit? I'm an American, but I've lived in Scotland for over 20 years now, and I love being able to explore the art and architecture on my doorstep and across the English Channel. So, the European cities. I have been to London about 3 times. I did, when I was younger, my mother took us on a trip of the UK, and we took a bus trip up to Edinburgh, and we were there for like 1.5 days. And then we also went to Wales, we went to Stratford, we went to London, and then on another trip I went to Ireland, I went to Dublin, and I did a auto tour of the west coast of Ireland. And then I've also been to Paris about 3 or 4 times. I've been to Greece, and so I definitely want to go back to Europe, especially for exhibitions. I was telling my friend of mine that, people travel because of the food or the people or the experiences or the, the atmosphere, but and for the cultural things. But the reason why I want to travel is for the art. That's why I want to travel in the future. That's my rule. So I am on the lookout for art exhibitions, and I wish I could have gone to like the Vermeer exhibition or even the Frans Hals exhibition that you attended. And so in the future, I plan to make my travels focused on seeing art exhibitions. But I have a limited budget, and I'm trying to do the best I can as far as that goes. What's Past is Prologue asks, "Hey David, congratulations on reaching 1,000 subscribers." Thank you. I know that The Story of Civilization is your favorite book series. Which of the 11 volumes is your favorite, and which is your least favorite? Okay, so my favorite is going to my favorite is The Age of Rousseau. I wish my memory was better, but to answer this question, I went over to my bookshelf and I took down the book, and it's called Rousseau and the Revolution. I said it was called The Age of Rousseau, but it's also, the book is called Rousseau and the Revolution. So in order to refresh my memory on this book, this is the one I had an initial, a visceral connection to calling it my best. But now as I pull it off the shelf, I can review some of the reasons why I like this one so much. And when I look at the table of contents, 33 pages here on Rousseau at the beginning. Then it has France before the deluge. It goes back to Voltaire. Then it talks about Rousseau again. Rousseau as the romantic, Rousseau as the philosopher, Rousseau as the outcast. So thoroughly covers Rousseau, which I love. I love Rousseau, and I also have read his other books, the book on inequality and the social contract and his confessions and Reveries of a Solitary Walker. I love all those books. And Rousseau is just an interesting character. At one point he was a musician and he wrote an opera that was very successful. And then he had an idea to replace musical notes with numbers. So he came up with a whole new system of presenting music to musicians. It didn't work. It was a failure, but it was interesting. He also wrote a book called Julie, which was a very popular novel in its time, and then he refused to accept money from the king, I believe, and he was an outcast, and so he to me he's just charming. I don't agree with everything that Rousseau said, and I know that he gave his children away to the orphanage. And that is a despicable thing that he did. But he's just so charming to me. Rousseau just gets to my heart, and that's why I like him. He continues on to the Catholic South. He goes to Italy, goes to Spain. He goes to Protestant North, Catherine the Great. He does Kant. he does Gotha. Here's a section on the Jews. Here is Johnson. He does Samuel Johnson. Oh, so entertaining. And then he does the English people. And then he does the collapse of feudal France. Oh my God, just outstanding as the whole structure of France collapsed. That's some history. So those were some highlights of this book. And so that is why this is my favorite one, Rousseau and the Revolution. Then my least favorite, I would say that it was the first one, our Oriental Heritage. Now it starts off well, where he introduces you to the series, and he talks about how he's going to develop the series and what his approach to history is. But then he goes through China and Japan and India, and it's really dry reading. He covers too much territory in too little time. It's super dense. I wouldn't even read the Chinese, Japanese, Indian stuff because it's just too much. The way that he laid it out was it was actually poor. I'm going to call it poor, and that's not the. And I am interested in Chinese, Japanese, and Indian civilizations. In fact, I have a whole book row right here. All these books are Chinese art. I haven't even made a video on Chinese art, but look for one in the future because I'm going to make one. So that's my least favorite. So that's all the comments in the comments field. So once again, I want to say thanks for all my subscribers, and I am going to continue making the channel. Every year that I've had the channel, I have increased the number of videos per year. And this year, my goal is just to have 2 videos per month. That's what you can look forward to in 2024. So thanks for watching.